So we're here today with Chigozie Bashua, founder and CEO of the Nut Place Nigeria. Thank you so much for making the time to meet with us.
Thank you for having me.
So let's just start with talking about what exactly is the Nut Place.
Okay, so the Nut Place is a nut processing company. We process edible nuts into gluten-free products for middle and low-income earners. And you will ask, how did we come about the concept? So in 2013, I noticed that part of the reasons why food items are expensive is because we lack processing facilities. So we have to export our raw food out to be processed and then re-import them or import them back as finished goods. And so by the time it's coming back, it has the import duty on it, and so the prices are higher. And then if you look at the category of people that are that could afford just about anything they want in the upper class, they're not much. And so I decided to take on food processing with a focus on edible nuts, because you could produce gluten-free products from food products from nuts. And then the fact that nuts are advised by the doctors for you to include in your diet, you can never go wrong when it comes to inclusion of nuts in your diet. And so I decided, okay, you know what? We need to birth something that people will have healthy food alternatives to whatever it is they have on ground, especially people that are on special diets, people that are on a weight management journey, people that are gluten allergic, and then or probably have celiac diseases and celiac disease, or people within the autistic spectrum, you know, people that have been advised to stay off certain food and then look at more healthy food. So these are the people that we look at and we say, okay, how about if they can't afford the imported food? They should be able to find something within the country that is within their reach, that is budget friendly. That's how the Nut Place was birthed.
Wow. So the idea is to locally produce healthy food products for the people that cannot afford it but actually need it because of specific health reasons.
Yes.
That sounds amazing. It makes so much sense. I love it. And what are the range of products that you produce?
Okay, so we have our Tigernut Flour.
Okay.
And you know, Tigernut has amazing properties. Lowers the blood sugar level, helps hypertensive patients, fights malnutrition, and is good for people with loss. Is high in fiber, resistant starch, and all that. Then we have coconut flakes, which absolutely is 100% coconut and has no sugar, has no preservatives, has no flavoring. We have cashew flour, which is also another type of healthy flour. We have the tiger nut itself, we have the cashew nut itself, and then we're also looking at producing the healthy bars too. So people can have varieties of food they can eat. They can really, quote unquote, indulge themselves without having to break the bank. So it's within their range of affordable food.
Where were you when you decided to start it?
I had gone on holiday
Okay.
to the United Kingdom, and I was grocery shopping, and I kind of went to the nut section. And when I got there, I just looked at the various things they had, and then it occurred to me that, you know what, we could have something like this on our shelves, and that was what piqued my curiosity. And I was like, I think I will take a trip to one or two nut processing facilities within the United Kingdom and see what it is they do, and see how we can probably not replicate exactly, but have something that is similar to that here in Nigeria. And so I took a trip to Tottenham, and I met someone who was quite willing to show me around and explain to me the various things they do, the processes, the machines they use. And so with each trip to any nut processing company, my dreams or my knowledge base grew. And then I could picture, okay, I think we need this. I think these are the things we don't have here, but we could make do with certain other things. And so you begin to mix and match what you have here in Nigeria and say, we might not have pecans, but we certainly have other nuts that we could look at. And so that's it.
Chigozie, I have to tell you that I have been on very many vacations and I have never started one company from these vacations. So I'm just wondering, like, what were you doing professionally before that? Were you in the nut space? Were you in the processing, food, manufacturing? What happened to your job that you were doing at the time?
Okay, fantastic question. I have always been an IT girl.
Okay.
So working an IT engineer job, I haven't been in the manufacturing. I read electrical electronics engineering. However, I ventured into, I did a little bit of telecommunications and then I focused majorly on information technology. And that's where I've been all my life. So it wasn't like I was in the manufacturing field. I went from engineering to thinking about agricultural products. However, I didn't stop working. So I found a way to build certain skills and plan the business side of me so it doesn't affect the career side me. So it doesn't affect my IT. And so I found a way to run them simultaneously. So that's it. So I built processes, built a business plan, wrote a business plan, and
while you were still working in your 8 to 5?
I am still working.
Wow. Till today?
Yeah, till today.
So you're managing both?
So I'm managing both.
How do you do that?
So I figure, I wouldn't say I don't know, but the success to time management is having to decide what's priority for you and what's the future like, envisaging what do you want in life and then going for it. So I had built certain skills over the years working as an IT personnel.
Yes.
And so those skills came into place. I had built time management skills, I had built planning skills, and because I do a lot of research, personally, I do a lot of knowledge kind of building. I try to build skills that are not formal skills. So right in the process, I built my planning skills properly. And so I decided, you know what? Plan the business, let it run on its own. You don't have to be there. You can have oversight functions and let the guys write processes, let them follow it to the letter, and then you can do what you want to do. So that's the little trick to, running a time. It's a bit challenging though. I wouldn't say it's a walk in a park, but over time it becomes easier for you because then at the beginning, you had to train people. You had to tell them exactly what quality you wanted and what the output should be. You shouldn't have all products must be of the same quality and all that. So people had to learn about following the process. And so you don't come with extra idea from outside to, just follow what we have in here. If we need to change the process, we do another test. And when we are satisfied with the results, we include that in our processes and then we run with it. So I would say, yes, having SOPs, having policies and procedures helps.
Okay, so you go on vacation, you have this amazing business idea, you visit different nut processing plants, right? And then you come back and you start to develop a business plan and these processes, you put them in place. Then what next? How did it develop from that?
Okay, so I had to ask my mom for a corner in her kitchen so I could test.
That's why you started in
So
your
that's
mom's
what
kitchen.
exactly. So that's how I started.
Okay.
So she gave me a corner and said, okay, that's your work area. So I started my tests, I started the research, produce. You find out, okay, does this work? Is this what you saw out your research? Is this the end product? Is this what you really want to sell to people? And then you call one or two family friends and say, okay, I'm going to sample this. Can you tell me what you think? So that was how I started developing the concept, so the idea started coming into reality little by little, step fitting in. I wouldn't say we started, on the big side, and we're still not that big. So I try to take it a step at a time, so the idea is not to have as much product as possible. The idea is to have quality products. So you can go from one product to the other, you go from the next to the other, you analyze and you look at your target market and say, okay, so what do they need at this time? What is it that is obtainable that I can offer them that will be beneficial to them? And so that's how the concept has been, little by little, poco a poco, we have it there. Yeah.
How was it received by your target market in the beginning, and how did you even engage with them to begin with?
So at first, people were a bit unsure. You see, we have tiger nuts in abundance. However, the education about the benefits of tiger nuts, people just felt it was the nuts they could eat and spit out.
Yeah.
But we had to start educating them on the properties, and we are still doing that. We had to, on our social media pages, on our website, we had to just tell them, you see, these little tubers that you chew and spit out, they are powerful. They can keep you healthy. So you educate little by little, you try to get them to, so the awareness is growing. And then the fact that right now we have the fit farm trend, so everyone is trying to stay healthy. There are diseases that could be avoided by eating healthy, so people are looking for alternatives. And so that's how we tell them about, okay, why don't you try this instead of having your carbohydrates and eating your eba and all that, and probably you're in your 60s, you're in 50s, your doctors have probably told you, no, stay off so much carbohydrate. You could try this. You could try the Tigernut Flour in its stead. You could have your pancakes. You could still have your muffins if you want to. You could still have any of the things you really desire.
Yeah.
However, what has changed is the flour that you're using for it. Yeah, and certain processes. So that's it.
You've talked a little bit about the skills that you felt you required and how you set yourself up to be able to gain them so that you could run the nut place, right? So for someone who's looking to go into entrepreneurship and start a business to impact society and so on, what are some of the skills you think that are very important to have, and how would you advise someone to go about getting them?
Okay, so the first thing is you may not have all the knowledge required to run a business, but your willingness to learn is key to your growth. So as much as possible, you would want to know the key processes in your business, so you don't have to be at the mercy of people. However, you need to employ knowledgeable people. And if you find someone who probably does not have your required knowledge base, but is willing to learn and is loyal to you, loyalty is key. So you may want to also teach people on the job so they could grow with the business, they could grow with the company. So one of the things I would say for people that are looking to go into these type of business is you need to really tell yourself, I have a period to work hard, and hard you have to work. And then you need to leave what you see on the social media and you need to come back to reality. Because a lot of times we see the glamorous part, but we don't see the work that goes behind the scene. So you need to be able to sometimes get dirty, get your fingers dirty, and then have planning skills. They will help you. If nothing, you need to set the direction of your business, and you need to set it right so that people can follow the vision. They can say, oh, this is what we're trying to achieve, and so let's run with that vision. So you need to have a vision that will inspire your people. You need to say, this is what we are intending to achieve, and so that people can run with it. So at best, I tell people, have planning skills, learn do a research, go for training on other aspects of business, probably your marketing, the marketing side of business, the operational side. You can get trained on that, but you just cannot pinch off planning when it comes to your business. I'm an advocate of business planning. So I teach people how to write business plans, so I'm an advocate of it. And so all the time I say, plan your business.
Would you say that everything has gone to plan the way you have planned it?
No. So in reality, when you plan, some things are beyond your control.
Yeah.
You have government regulations, you have policies, you have licenses you need to obtain, and your timeline may not be the timeline of the government. So what your plan does is it sets you in the direction, but it's amendable. So take, for instance, when we wanted to get our NAFDAC number, we didn't get it on time. So what did we do? We went back to the drawing board and said, okay, we can't get it in 2 months. So we need to look for alternatives. We need to look for something else pending when we get it. So a lot of things will probably not work, especially when you're starting off, because when you get laborers, they could disappoint you. You probably are working with a 2 weeks timeline, and then someone doesn't show up, and he extends by 2 weeks, 2 days, or 2 weeks, 5 days, as it depending on whatever the problem is. So you need to amend as you go.
Got it.
So that's it. It's not cast in stone. So nobody says it's a document that is cast in stone. It is something that is live. So all the time you need to really go back and amend what it is you are planning, or what it is you've written. And execution is different from saying what you talking about it. When you get down to the nitty-gritty, it's not always the way you've written about it.
And when you started and you were initially learning, what kind of support system did you have? You've mentioned that your mom was kind enough to let you start in her kitchen, right?
Yeah.
But I think that there are very specific things that sometimes you don't even know unless you're on the job, and when you just get in there and to start to do it. Was it, did you have mentors? Were you reading on the internet? How did that unfold?
Okay, so I will start with funding, because funding is a major part of business. It's a major thing about businesses in Nigeria. So when we initially started, we didn't start with lots of money. So while we were doing our research, we were putting the bits. We didn't have the machines. So it was just that little corner and doing a lot of things manually. However, I applied for a World Bank initiative, a Growth Employment and Employment Scheme. And that was really what kickstarted that business in terms of funding. And then the next year, I applied for the Tony Elumelu Foundation program, and I made it. So that also helped us, actually, when it came to getting our licenses and all that, because we need to set up the factory, get the machines, get it up to standard and all that. So I would say applying for grants helped kickstart the business. I believe that when you have a purposeful idea, helpers come your way. So I know sometimes we feel the world can be evil, but there is still good in the world. And you know, I've had friends, family that have said, oh, I'll tell so, this is what you do. You know, they've helped broadcast, word of mouth. They've helped with certain things. At a point, my mom said, oh, I can be your supervisor. I can be there when you're not there and supervise your staff and all that. Although I didn't let her do that. But yeah, God has a way of sending people to you. So that's just the way I put it.
And especially for you, because I mean, running a business, starting one from scratch and then running it is one thing, but then you also have your full-time job. What would you say are some of the very unique challenges that you face doing that, and how are you overcoming? Like, what's driving you? Because it must be also just plain exhausting as well.
So because manufacturing is so capital intensive, I think one of the reasons why I outrightly didn't resign was I still want the company to grow to a particular point before I say, okay, goodbye to, you know, where corporate world and all that. Well, not corporate world, but yeah, goodbye to a proper 9 to 5 and all. So, but funding has, and when I mean funding, at every point, depending on the projects you have, there are certain funds that you require. And so like I said, manufacturing is capital intensive. And so at some point, if you need to rebrand, and probably your supermarkets or the wholesalers are still owing you, and you don't want to get stuck waiting for them to pay you, money has to come from somewhere, you know, to buffer that, pending when you receive your money. So we deal with a lot of supermarkets, we deal with a lot of wholesalers, and we also deal with a lot of the smaller businesses. And so one of the things about the Not Place is we want to be inclusive as much as possible. So while we are looking at selling to the middle class, we also don't want to leave out the lower class. So to an extent, you know, you want to be inclusive, but, you know, you need a particular level of funding to execute your sustainability plan or that inclusion plan. And so at certain level, you know, the salary has paid off. So I think that's one of the foremost motivation for having to run both of them simultaneously.
So would you say that the Not Place is fully sustainable now, or?
We are not fully sustainable. And the reason why I said that is, like I said, until we hit a certain mark.
Got it.
You know, before we can say, oh, we've gotten there. But we're well on our way there.
Thank you so much for sharing all of that. I've already learned a ton. You know, just starting in your mom's kitchen, you know, get started with what you have and then always look at, okay, what's the next step? And then applying for the programs and scaling your business. And I love that. I think it's an amazing example.
Thank you.
My question would be, what is your long-term vision and what would be required right now for you to, you know, put the business on the next stage? What do you think?
Okay, so a long-term vision is to get to Africa as a whole. So the plan is not just for Nigeria. The plan is the broad vision is for Africa. Mm-hmm. And we are hoping we could get to other African countries. And to do that, you know, we have a level of branding we need to get to. So we can not just sit on Nigerian shelves, but also sit on African and international shelves. We also want to project Africa to the world. And one of the ways we will do that is to sell in international markets. So when someone walks into a certain store, he doesn't have to say, oh, this branding is of low quality because it's coming from Nigeria. So the person sees it and says, I really cannot differentiate, you know, if this is coming from Nigeria, this is coming from the UK or the US or from any other place. So we want to sit on international shelves, but, you know, we want to do that well.
Yeah.
So, and one of the things we need to do, our next stage right now is a total rebranding of our product packaging so that we can get into it. We actually want to get into international market, and it's the next stage for us.
Okay, well, if you could partner with anyone right now and ask them for anything, who would you partner with and what would you ask them for?
Oh, wow. We'd like to partner with people that believe in our vision.
Yeah.
And people that see what we see.
Yeah.
You know, not just for people that believe in us, actually.
Yeah. And it could probably be international off-takers, probably,
Exactly.
right? International partners, if that's
Exactly. Yeah.
My question regarding, because you said manufacturing is capital intensive, is do you import, are the machines that you need to process the nuts, do you need to import them, or where can you source them?
Yeah, so we have some that are locally manufactured, but yes, we have others that are imported.
Okay.
So a good number, yes, we import.
Okay, but there are also local
There are
manufacturers.
also local manufacturers.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. What has been your single biggest challenge in building this business?
Electricity.
I'm not surprised, you know?
Electricity has been our singular biggest challenge. No lights, you can't produce.
Yeah.
So unless you have a big generator that can power your machines,
Yeah.
you probably have to wait for electricity to come on.
Wow.
So yes, and then the fact that you need to get the diesel for the generator, you know, just it increases your costs of production.
Yeah.
So if we had constant electricity, you know, you produce and that when you want to, you can schedule and say, oh, at this point, and you don't need to have a generator for that.
Yeah.
But not having power is a major challenge.
What would be your advice to a young Nigerian today?
I would say if you have a dream, don't give up on it. Do not underestimate your capabilities and your skill set. Don't let anyone tell you you cannot do it. If you believe in yourself and you believe in what you can do, then go for it. It might not be easy, but consistency pays. So over time, people will get to believe you and believe you're up to something good. So I'll say, don't ever quit. Don't ever quit, no matter the challenge.
I love that. You know, another question just popped into my mind. You're a woman in tech. So how did you come to go into the field of tech and become an IT girl, as you put it?
Okay, so I've always loved technology. I don't know, I just love it. And given the options after school, I had to take a shot at it. So I hate programming though. I guess I don't know, maybe I wasn't taught properly, or probably I didn't give it a shot at an early age. Probably I should have started earlier, but I just haven't gotten it right with core programming. However, other parts of technology, yeah. So, and I love it. So it's something I don't want to give up, actually.
Yeah. You know, one thing that also struck me, you know, as Dalsi put it before, you go to vacation, become interested in something, you see possibility, your curiosity prompts you to, on your vacation, check out processing plants. Is something that I can relate to, but still my question would be, how did you build that psychology to just say, you know, let me just investigate, I'm curious, let me just do that? Were there any mentors in your life that you know, helped to instill that sense of, yeah, just do it? I mean, I'm not sure whether it was that, but you know, it seems the way you share that was just like, okay, yeah, I'm curious, let me go figure that out.
Okay, so about December 2012, you know, I had done a bit of soul searching, and, you know, I was wondering, what fantastic thing can I do to impact my world?
Wow.
So I had come to the point where I was just wondering, what do I want to do to make people, you know, just to leave a legacy at some point. Yeah, it wasn't like I was thinking of dying or something. You know, at some point in your life, you get to that point where you ask yourself, so what am I doing? What am I really here for? What am I doing? And I got to that point.
Yeah.
So I remember going to church, you know, And I remember getting to make a simple prayer, and I was like, okay, God, I need an idea to just make this, just help someone out there. I just need that idea. It doesn't have to, I don't know if it's going to be crazy. I don't know if people will not believe, but I just need that idea to drop in my head. Coincidentally, my pastor preached something that towards that and said, oh, why don't you ask God for an idea? I said, okay. So yeah, God, I need an idea. And that was it. So I just went home. However, when I went on the vacation, it just struck me like, okay, we could do this. And then I thought about how many people in Nigeria are diabetic, and they probably cannot stop eating the high carbohydrate food. Not because they don't want to, but it costs an arm and a leg. If they're running for 6 months, will they run out of finances? Most likely. And so I was like, why don't we start something? I don't know if it's going to be successful, but let's start it. You know, I think the greatest failure for anyone is not to do anything. It's not starting and failing, but not just to do anything. And so, okay, let's start it. You don't owe anybody any explanation. If it doesn't work, it's fine, you tried. But just start. So that was it for me.
Wow, I love that. You know, I think, so let me say two things that I'm taking away. First of all, ask good questions. And a good question is, how can I make a wonderful impact on people? I mean, you know, who has ever learned in school or through their parents to ask such a wonderful question, really? You know, it's not, I mean, imagine that was a question that we got to ask in university or in school, everyone. What is it? Wonderful. I mean, wow, I'm blown away.
Place, yeah.
And secondly, you know, accidentally, one of my mentors and someone that I deeply respect, at some point in time, he was also praying every day that, you know, God might give him an idea, some sign how he could improve people's lives. And also his question was answered. So I think the deep desire to want to be beneficial to people will be answered and met eventually, and maybe in some very or probably in a very unpredictable way, like for you in a supermarket on vacation.
So you know, that voice doesn't come and say, oh, this is it, do this. You know, you could just, it could be an encounter, it could be somewhere you're going and then you see something and say, oh, so we lack this where I'm coming from, why don't we have this? And then so one question leads to another. How do we have this? What will it take for us to have this? And so that's it.
Did you ever think about working directly with end customers and letting them buy nuts in bulk, like 1 kg, 5 kg or something like this? Just because you pointed out the payment challenges sometimes that you have with wholesalers and and other off-takers, supermarkets?
So I've thought about that, and it's one of the things that it's currently ongoing. So we have a 1 kg pack. We don't have a 5 kg yet, but we are hoping to get there. But one of the other things we've also done is approach people who are also manufacturers, but our products could be their raw material. So you have the healthy bakers, you have a healthy kitchen, and people, they just want to infuse a healthy menu. And you have the ice cream places, the yogurt places, and we are also targeting those kind of places, because you could say, sprinkle your coconut flakes on your yogurt as toppers, and you know, so they could have that. And then for people that want healthy cake, you probably want a good cake. You know, you want to enjoy yourself, but you just don't want the normal flour. So you could have a mixture of maybe Tigernut flour and other flour. Just mix it and make yourself a cake. Make your muffins and all that. So
love it. Thank you so much for sharing. Learned a lot.
Thank you too for having me.
And more power to you.
Thank you.